As you're looking to grow, what's the biggest challenge in terms of, you know, retaining control, retaining what you want the business to be, and especially as you franchise, where you know you're literally letting somebody run off with the baby.
Yeah, it is very scary because we're losing one business already. You know, you sort of.
See, I think one of the problems is, you know, making mistakes is fantastic, yeah? But there's always a risk you overreact to it, you know.
Yeah.
You're probably overreacting
very
now.
Much, very
and you should be encouraged to be more confident, because if someone makes a
Really
mistake, you overreact to it. You'll overcompensate, you know, and that's why. Sorry,
No, you're absolutely right, because
we try in EBAC to have a no-blame culture, right? And what I mean by that is, if someone makes a mistake, what they don't need is me to tell them. What they need me to say is, it doesn't matter, come on, let's look at it and deal with it. Now, that sounds like a cop-out, but you've got to be careful. If someone makes a mistake, what they know they made a mistake, and they'll probably overreact to it. So they need you to be supportive and say, it's not that bad, come on, come on, come on. If they can't do the job, that's a different problem. Then it's a training issue or whatever. But assuming they can do the job, they make a mistake, the thing you must not do is criticise them. There's a tremendous risk you'll overreact to your bad experience and lose out commercially from it.
Yeah.
You know.
Because every day, even though, like, you know, you can talk about the success and joking aside, you know, oh, I have been successful, and probably being right, I did set my objectives quite low. No, they weren't low.
Yeah, they were far too low. Well, you beat them, so they must have been too bloody low.
Because I wasn't 100% sure on which way I was going. Anyway, as I was saying,
you've beaten it, so you must have been too low by definition.
Well, obviously I know that now, so I've set it higher for next year, haven't I? Right, so as we were saying earlier, yes, so it is true though, to be honest, I set my objective. It wasn't low, but even when I set it, what I tried to do, with how it all came about, joking aside, setting the objective, how much do I need to live? And that was where the objective came from, because I didn't really know if people were going to buy my product. I didn't really know. I just hoped, to be honest, because what else was there to, what was the alternative? Do you know what I mean? I had nothing to lose. So for me, it wasn't even a gamble. It was just something, do it, you know. So that's where the objective came from. So, so really, where were we again? I'm completely lost now. Yeah, you were talking about the easy targets. So next year I have doubled my target, you know.
Just doubled it?
I have, yeah. I've
doubled the original or the actual?
No, I've doubled the one that I've achieved this year. Right. So what I've achieved this year, which is the over objective,
sounds very scientific,
I've doubled
it.
That's all I'm doing. That's literally it. You know, and then I know then I'm only going to earn twice more than I wanted to earn last year. Do you know what I mean? And that's literally how I'm going, really. Yeah. And that's not including the franchising business, because what I've done is, you ask how you keep control. What I've done is I've retained an area, a region for myself. I've retained Northumberland and County Durham, so that I'm always on the floor, always still keeping in hand, what does the customer want? I have to deliver the same as my franchisees. So therefore, I am in the same marketplace with the same customers, with the same problems, everything that my franchisees will all have. So therefore, if they're saying to me, oh, it's this, it's that, it's the other, I can say, well, my experience is this, it's that, it's the other. So therefore, I'm keeping my hand in completely, and I'll never give those two regions up. That's because there's another, the fear, that's what you were saying, about the fear. And that is true, because one of the things, even though I've exceeded that objective, and I did manage to keep my house, and I did manage to pay the mortgage, and I'm going to pay my dad back, it's a case of every day I'm driven and I'm hungry because I'm scared that I'm going to lose it. So that negative of fear is quite a positive as well, because it keeps me driven more than I believe any of my competitors will be, because I am terrified. I've had that experience of being bankrupt, being on income support, a couple of weeks before Christmas, worrying that I'm going to lose my house after Christmas and where are we going? And my competitors haven't felt that. So therefore, that is what really drives me.
I think the fear of failure is a better motivator than the rewards of success.
It really
I know it sounds the same thing,
me.
but I think the fear of failure, that's when you're back against the wall, that's when...
Yeah.
But you can really dig deep though, can't you?
Yes, you can.
You can dig deep.
But the thing is, like you said, as long as you can learn by your mistakes and use those mistakes in a very constructive way, then to me, making mistakes is actually worth it. So I don't regret anything. I don't regret being bankrupt, and I really don't. I don't regret losing my last company, and I don't regret losing my Range Rover and all those wonderful things that I thought I had that were materialistic, and all the hangers-on that I thought were my real friends that weren't. I don't regret any of that, because what it's done is it's given me a wonderful business surrounded by real people, my husband back, and all of these lovely things.
Oh, so there is a drawback,
that no, ignore him, that I wouldn't have had before. So I think that's it. If you can learn by your mistakes and turn them into a positive thing, then it's invaluable experience.
You cannot buy or learn experience.
No.
You can't buy it or you can't learn it. You've got to gain it. You've got to be. You can't describe it to somebody else. You've got to be there. You can't learn it. You can't learn experience. You can learn from other people's mistakes to a certain extent, but you've really got to. You've got to gain the bones. You've got to gain your bones.
So, just back to this targets thing. 'Cause this is, how do you set your targets?
I think. Well, I mean, every forecast's going to be wrong. That's the first thing, isn't it? Joking aside. So I think that's quite a good way of doing it, actually. Is actually look at a break, look at different ones, look at what's realistic, look what's the minimum you need. Always look at the downside, you know, look at sort of, well, what can I afford to get away with? What's the break-even figure? Oh, you know, and never take any risks that could finish you. You know, never play Russian roulette, even if you've got 300 bullets in there, because if it's, or 300 chambers, because if it's the one that's there, it's 100% dead. So you've got to always work out the downside. You've always got to be prepared to take the downside. But having said that, you've got any business, you've got to sail close to the wind. If you make sure you've got plenty of spare up the sleeve, you'll never sweat your assets enough. And things will go wrong. And every now and again, 2 things will go wrong. And then 3 things will go wrong, and you'll struggle like hell. But it's marvellous how you can get through quite difficult times if you put your mind to it. And it does bring the best out of people, you know. Because if you always keep something up your sleeve,
But about investing in your business as well, though, because that was one of the things at my last business where we were, you know, when we, before we signed that contract, it was a 10-year contract, and it was going to make me a multi-millionaire by the time I was 40, and on paper it was fab, but it was bullshit, because it was a contract based on potential. And what had happened was they had us gear our business up on a contract that was based on potential. So really, if I'd had balls then, and taken a step back, I'd have said to those directors of that group, I would have said, actually, no, I'll sign your contract, but we will invest, and it could have even been a tiered investment, on the growth. So you give us the business to sustain the investment, we'll sign that contract, and we'll commit to investing on a gradual basis, and therefore everything will be fine. But because we felt intimidated by a bigger company, when the contract was, when we're halfway into the contract, you know, we looked at that and we're saying, hey boys, this contract, you know, it's not working, and it's you're letting us down. And, you know, we're in the right. We've got a solicitor here who says we're totally in the right to take you to court. Come on then, bring it on. Take us to court. You might win, but I promise you it'll cost you everything you win to get it, you know. And that was the other thing as well in our last business. We tried to hang on overdraft, and we tried to hang this, that, and the other. And actually, the signs were screaming out at us a lot sooner than when we closed the business. And we kept thinking,
I know, but it's easy when you look back.
And we'll hang on, and oh, it might change, and it might change, and it might change. And we can't close it before Christmas, because what about the staff? So we'll go on further into overdraft to pay the wages. All so wrong. We should have just absolutely cut our losses as soon as we knew, over and done with. Started again, but hindsight's a wonderful thing.